Hello, everyone, and welcome to this interview about women's football in Indonesia. Another piece of content of the blog Xavi Bové.es, a blog born to improve women's football through marketing, and where more than 300 people have already joined the tribe. Today, it's a pleasure to welcome our very special guest, Esti Lestari. For those who may not know her, Esti is a successful businesswoman in Indonesian football. She is currently the president of the professional football club Persijap Jepara. Esti is a strong believer and defender of gender equality through football. She created a women's football team at her club and is the first club to have a women division in Indonesia. Last year, she was nominated as one of the top 50 women leaders in Asia Pacific. A social activist that wherever she is, she carries a scarf with the message, "I support women's football." Esti, thank you very much for your contribution and for being here with us today.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we would like to know more about your work there in Indonesia, the football club. What is one useful lesson you have taken from working in women's football there at Persijap Jepara?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Sure.
I couldn't really hear you.
Sure. What is one useful lesson you have taken from working in women's football at Persijap Jepara?
Okay. Yes, there's many to say, but the most important part is I learned that in men's football in Indonesia, probably in a very sad conditions, but women football are even sadder. So I want to bring up the spirit of women football in Indonesia, starting from Persijap Jepara. And Persijap Jepara itself, I found so many talents, woman talents, and I discovered it during the first trial that I did for my first team, and I saw 100 girls coming. So if I didn't do this, I probably would never discover that.
Well, yes, sure, and sure many girls were waiting for an opportunity like this. This year we have a greater opportunity, a big scenario, which will be the World Cup in France. What do you think is a remarkable footprint that the World Cup could leave for women's football?
I think it will be a great exposure for women in World Cup especially, and I know it's not going to be as big as the men, but I think we're aiming the same directions one day. Okay. Slowly but sure, I think the women's foundation is to be built strongly as well. I'm hoping in Indonesia we're going to be, we are in the pre-qualification of Olympic. That's already a start, so hopefully one day we'll be in the World Cup.
Hopefully, yes. Sure. In Indonesia, Esti, what do you think is a barrier stopping women's football to grow massively?
Well, we're a country of a lot of people, more than 250 millions, and even though we're moderns, there's so many millennials here, and we already think forward, but the ratio of people that think forward and then still think that women's football is not important, it's still pretty much balanced, or even probably bigger doubt rather than strong belief about women football. So I think it has to be a lot more exposure. It has to be a lot of campaign, educations, and I'm hoping from myself by starting the women club in a very small town of Jepara, and now even recognized in globally. When I was visiting SDA, let's say, we are exchanging stories, experience, and hopefully one day I can bring the girls there, and that's how I'm gonna start it. Hopefully this will be followed by all the other clubs too. That's what I'm hoping.
Great, no, and surely you have put Indonesian women's football on the map thanks to your work. And from a club's standpoint, what do you think could be a practical advice for women's football club to seduce or attract sponsors?
Obviously, you need to have a very clear program, a tangible one, and it has to be very attractive how you want to make a good partnership, because sponsor is not about asking money and then using that money for the development of the club, but it has to be a partnership. We also need to have something to offer for the brand. So we need a partner that's trusting the process in the long term, because women football is not going to happen in the short term. So having a visionary long term with your partner, maybe it's only one or two, I think it's very important.
Okay, sure, but yes, because in the end they are looking for fans and for the fan base that each club has already built. Regarding fans and the area of fan experience, if you could do one thing to bring more fans into women's football games, what would it be? What do you think would be helpful to bring more fans to see women's football games?
Indonesian loves gimmicks. Indonesian loves stories behind things.
Okay.
I have to admit it. So it's not a bad thing. So let's say if you create a story of a football player with the story where the background, where she comes from, what's the story to get there. It could be a sad story, it could be a happy story. But for me, I try to make it a little bit more organic. It means no gimmick. I wanted to bring more fans to the club and to the stadium when the women playing. Normally, I put it together with the men. So when the men are doing the tournament or any match, I always put the women team 30 minutes or 50 minutes before the actual match. It's just like an exhibition. It's not really 45 by 2, but it's actually just a showcase, exhibition. Because I will invite neighbor clubs or even bigger clubs to come, and that's what I do. And then maybe in the future I will bring some international friendlies, so people also can see much bigger competitive games. So that's what I'm aiming.
Great. No, surely can be very effective if your fans are engaged to the club and the story of the club. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man wearing the shirt, right? And
Yes.
regarding fans and letting the community know about women's football, in Indonesia, what do you think we could do to have media more interested in women's football? What message could we say to media to be more interested in women's football?
That we are as competitive and as strong as the men. Because one time I was inviting around 10 to 20 medias to Jepara.
Okay.
And of course, they were like initially have to be invited formally. Hey, please come. And then there's like women football, seriously. And then when they arrive, and then I set up the match, and then they see the match, they were amazed. They were like, "Oh, they can play football." I said, "Absolutely." So I think you need to also present something attractive for the media to catch the story. And as much as that happening, I think the media in Indonesia also already have so much knowledge about women's football, and I actually work with a lot of media's activists in women's football to make a tournament. So I never really have to invite them anymore. They're really looking for the news. Like they know if they want to talk about women football, they will call me, because I'm the one who has a women football, and I also will tell them, hey, I have some other clubs also have women practices and training, but they're not under a professional club. They're more like schools. Mm-hmm. So I think it's as good as Persijap Jepara, and even much better. It's just that they're not a professional club that is registered. So there's always a way to make them legal, and then I try to advocate them as well to the federation to make them recognized. So this is what I'm doing.
Great, no, and I think that it shows the importance of making media part of the story, involving them into the day-to-day of women's football and from clubs. And if they feel part of the team, surely they will feel more than happy to attend to games and to give more coverage to women's football. And thank you for that insight, Esti. We would like to know more about your professional and personal side. what are 1 to 3 books that have greatly influenced your life? Any books that you would highly recommend and that have had a lot of influence on your life?
Mm. Well, I read this book when I was 16, I think, and I wasn't even a manager. But I always love reading book. Like if my dad bought me any book, or I like Amazon. I always order it from Amazon. Before we didn't have so much of the internet or googling things, right? And I like books with the cover and everything. I get this book called Managing with a Conscience from Frank Sonnenberg.
Okay.
I believe in everything he said in there. It's about the philosophy of working together with your team, uh, with so much passion. You having an effective communication, not cut corners, and you don't exploit your employees or your team or your people or even your coworker. You wanted to work with them with so much understanding. So I think that's really influenced my leadership today.
Okay.
So many people in football said, "Oh, you're too nice, you're too naive, you're too this." I said, "No, I might say it. I might look weak, but I could say something strongly as well. But here, I'm not trying to exploit anybody. Like people in our league would say, I want to be a winner. Uh, Me, I rather said, let's win together. But yes, somebody needs to be a winner. Like I don't want to go against a poor club, let's say, the one that doesn't have money. I would say, let's go. Let's see your financial. How can you make it better? But some people say, oh, let them die, let them die, or let them not working anymore in the league. I don't want that. I rather say, come on, let's go big together. And then I rather fight you when you're bigger. I rather compete with you when you're big because it gives me more satisfactions. Um, so that's what I mean about managing with a constant. It's like it's more collective rather than cut corners. I think that's the important ways to manage a team and also to manage your relationship with another team.
Sure, and it says a lot about your work, and I guess it starts with the impact you want to make, and it can be the impact at your club, but for Indonesian women's football, and that's the perspective and the level you're trying to achieve. And I also guess that this path to the lead level of managerial in Indonesian football has not been easy, has had a lot of obstacles. I remember campaigns that you have told me about never giving up, and I would like to
Yeah.
ask, we would like to know what what it has been a failure or apparent failure that has set you up for later success.
For me, in my own club, it's more about knowing the culture. I think I was really overconfident about going to the Jepara city and then bought the shares of the club, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna come strongly with modern visions. I forgot that this is the people with culture, very strong culture, very strong background, 64 years old club. So came on strongly, and people resist. That's what I think my failure. But slowly now, I started to understand. I read books about the culture. I read book about the people, and I speak with a lot of writers and how do you call it, social culture expert. And they told me, they talked to me, this is how Jepara people, this is how the supporters, this is how they mix in the stadium or outside, how do they work. So I started to get to know that now. I know it's 3 years too late, but it's never too late to learn something.
Sure, sure, no, and it's never too late to adapt, and especially if you are the president of a football club and you have to be updated to what's happening in the environment to make the correct decisions. Um, Lastly, Esti, we would like to know what advice could you give to any smart student coming out from university and wants to make an impact in women's football and wants to strive in women's football? What advice could you say to him or to her?
I would love to see a lot of women CEOs in football or women president in football. That's what I would love to see. I'm not being feminist or I'm not disrespecting men, but what I'm saying is I think we need more balance in the leadership in football. Like in Asia, the one that I know is we have five. So, and La Liga it's only one, right? And then in Indonesia is one. So I wanted to see more. I want to see more managers, CEOs, presidents. Do not afraid to jump into the world of unknown, where it's a male-dominated world. It's actually the same. You just need to learn the game. It's a different game, but the managing, the leadership, and everything else the same.
Great, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Esti. I think it has been a very insightful interview with your answers and also showing your work there and the development that, thanks to your initiative, is happening in Indonesia. And I hope that next Olympics Indonesia can be there. Where can find
Yes.
where where can subscribers find you on social media? Where are you present and are you active on social media?
Me? Am I active in social media?
Yes, where can subscribers
I'm very
find you
active.
and follow your activity?
Oh, I think Instagram is much more active for me, but I don't really have a channel or YouTube or anything. So I think my work is more portrayed in my fan page and my club's fan page. So
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
social media.
Great. So as said, thank you very much, Esti. Best of luck in Indonesia, and we hope that this great work for women's football in Indonesia can keep going and keep growing as the way you're growing.
Thank you, Javi. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done, and then you send it to me.
Thank you.